the Unleash Success podcast, where we break down the secrets of success to give you real tools and strategies that get real results. And now, here's your host, Corey Corpodian.
Welcome back to Unleash Success. If you haven't subscribed to our newsletter yet, just go to unleashsuccess.com, enter your email so you can get all the tools and strategies sent directly to you each and every week. Welcome back to Unleash Success. This is your host, Corey Corpodian. Today we get to interview Maggie Bergoff. Maggie is someone who helps entrepreneurs, CEOs, and influencers to biohack their bodies and routines in order to be able to boost their energy and reach peak performance. She discovered all this after she actually had a mini stroke and a whole host of health problems. As a nurse practitioner, she decided to evaluate what was going on with the traditional Western medicine model, that they could not identify what was going wrong with her. And so she started exploring the functional medicine model, and by using the two, was able to bridge the gap, solve her own problems, and now helps other people to do the same, to boost energy and be a peak performer each and every day. And now let's introduce Maggie. So you were a nurse and you had a mini stroke, huh? And then that kind of changed everything for you.
Kind of. So I'm a nurse practitioner. And then when I had basically a big cluster of health concerns, and then ultimately, yep, I did have that. And then I sought out what's called functional medicine, and basically trained in that. I went to the Institute for Functional Medicine and got trained in that. And then that's when I decided that after healing my own body and finding out that this modality exists out there, that I didn't want to work for the hospital anymore. And that's when I created my own virtual health consulting practice.
Wow, that's pretty incredible. And really what I'm excited about to talk to you today is how you help entrepreneurs really reach that peak energy, that peak performance, because that's something that we all struggle with. You know, it's like you wake up and it's hard to be on all the time. And so, you know, obviously you struggle with something. What did you find that was really kind of the big key change that you made?
Well, I'm, like a lot of high performing entrepreneurs, you are a go-getter. You need to be on a lot of the time, but what you need to know is also how to be really great at being off. So how to find that balance between, yes, high performing and getting outside and hitting the gym and, getting those business goals, and then also shutting off and having some time alone to reset the body, reboot, heal, regenerate cells. So it's really the balance of the two and knowing when to push and when to come back a little. And then the really big thing that we do for entrepreneurs specifically is make sure we're tracking, just like you track business analytics, we're tracking their body analytics. So we're tracking exactly what's going on inside their body from a nutrient perspective, from a food intolerance, gut health, neurotransmitters, so that we can make sure that we are giving it everything it needs and we can identify those red flags as they come before it creates this big cascade and fire that we need to then backtrack and put out.
I mean, absolutely. I mean, managing everything. And I love what you said there, too, about shutting off. And that's something that I have a really hard time with personally, but I do. And it really helps you recharge. I'm just wondering, too. So, take me back to that moment where, you got all these health problems. You're in the doctor's office. You're like, hey, this isn't working. This managing what already has happened. I need to be able to find out how to prevent it. What's going through your head at that time?
Well, frustration for sure. I am highly optimistic. So every time I would go into a new doctor, because they flipped me around to this specialist and that one, and I saw a bunch of people all trying to find out what was going on. And every time I would see somebody new, I was super excited and hopeful. And I thought, this one's the one. They're going to figure it out. I've got this. And then I would leave super frustrated because I would have no answer still. So that was the biggest thing going through my mind, to be honest. I was just hoping somebody would find something. Like there was a time when I was trying to figure out my own health. I was like, oh God, please just find like a tumor. Because then we would know what it is. And it was better to know what it is than to still be with this massive uncertainty of what to do. Because I follow direction very well, right? So I know if you give me a plan or if you tell me what to do, I can do it. I can implement. But no one was telling me what to do, which was very frustrating to me. And that was the biggest kind of mental barrier and the mental frustrations that I dealt with during that time.
It's so tough. I mean, we always face different obstacles. Obviously, a mini stroke, a whole host of problems, and to not know is almost worse. Did they ever find anything, or did you just have to take over and figure it out yourself?
So I had to completely take over. Eventually, they found some stuff, a lot of stuff, because they let my body just keep on getting worse and worse and worse as they were not resolving it. So as time went on, months and months, whatever was happening inside my body was just getting worse. And so then on traditional, like Western medicine lab values, it did look bad. So I ended up having a list of diagnoses that the doctors were giving me, ranging from kidney disease to severe immunodeficiency to PCOS, which is polycystic ovarian syndrome, to Hashimoto's disease, which is a thyroid condition where your body attacks your thyroid gland. I mean, you name it, it was probably on my medical chart, but that's not really what was going on. Like, that they were just kind of explaining what the values were showing or what the symptoms were showing, not saying why it was happening, which is what led me to functional medicine, which is kind of, it's more so combining the traditional medicine model with more of a holistic, natural whole body healing model to figure out the why. Why is this happening? And, just like a little kid, keeping persistent on those answers and those questions of what do we need to do to fix this problem?
Yeah, it's interesting. A lot of times people get sick and they're like, oh, I got sick. Maybe it was because of a bacterial infection or virus infection, and then I need to go get antibiotics, or, I need to go to the doctor and get better. I need rest, as opposed to maybe looking at what is my lifestyle choices that are causing this to happen a lot. Because, for years I was told to get the flu shot, and then I stopped doing the flu shot, and I was in, residency, and I was like, I don't like taking the flu shot because I'm surrounded by kids all the time, but I don't want to get sick, but I don't like the feeling of the couple days afterwards. So I stopped taking it, and I didn't get any flu. And I'm like, what's the difference right now? Is it my body's susceptibility to being sick? And how do you optimize your immune system? How do you optimize your body so that you don't get sick or you don't have disease and you actually have, high levels of energy? And that's what I'm so excited about today, because I know that in 6 months, you were able to transform it by bridging the gap between your experience as a nurse practitioner and this functional medicine model. And so I really want to understand, like, what were the day-to-day routines that you started to change?
Well, right away, it was a little bit more strict than I live now. So my day-to-day now is nothing like when I was in the thick of it, of healing my body with all of this stuff. But the biggest lesson that I learned is that the more simple, the better. So initially when I was trying to heal, I was like, okay, wow, I've got all of this information. I have these 20 things wrong with me. Now it looks like by research I can do these 50 things to fix this stuff and this restricted diet. And it was just a lot of stuff and a lot of supplementations. Even though they were natural, it was a lot of medications, right? And so that didn't work for me, and that doesn't work for my clients, and it probably won't work for you too. So the more simple, the better, I have found. And really, using supplementations, I love them, but targeted to specifically what you need and upstream. So things that will help impact all the other stuff for free without directly addressing it. So day to day, what that looks like is, instead of thinking all of the restricting stuff you, quote, have to do, I started thinking, okay, what can I add to nourish my body as much as possible, to make it easier for my body to break down and use food, to make it easier for my body to sleep, think, breathe. Because as long as you're making it easier on your body and giving that body a little helping hand in the right direction, it wants to heal. It will do the job for you. Your body is way smarter than any doctor in the world, right? So we just have to give it that helping hand in the right direction, and it will start to rebalance.
So, if I'm looking at, are you talking about like a mental rebalance? Is there like a specific regimen? I mean, obviously, I love the idea of, keep it simple, with the KISS principle, keep it simple, stupid, just
Yeah.
to follow that and really minimize what you have to do. So what does that look like? If I just want more energy out of life, where does it start for you? Where do you start with your clients?
So keep it simple, but also detailed. All right. So it's simple for my clients to implement because I'm kind of giving them the answers on this, shiny platter of what to do. Right. And we, especially as entrepreneurs, we can follow direction most of the time. But on the back end, for me as a practitioner and what I did for myself is knowing exactly what to do based on my lab values and what was going on in my body. So instead of following like a one-size-fits-all plan or just eating healthy foods, I encourage, and what I did as well, and what my clients do, is to eat foods based on their specific food intolerance. So we literally are testing their blood to see what foods inflame them and which foods make them feel really good. And then also like their nutrient levels. Yes, supplementations are really good for you. Most people need some kind of supplementation, whether it be for their gut health or their nutrients or their neurotransmitters or, energy support. But we are targeting exactly which ones you need based on your body, what's going on inside of your body at that time. So it is really detailed and quite extensive, but to implement, it can be pretty simple once you just know what to follow for your own body.
So first step is really you need to get blood work done and kind of analyze where you're deficient.
Yeah, if we don't know what's going on, how do we know how to fix it? Same thing with your business. If something you put out this launch and you hear crickets and nobody signs up for your thing, you're going to have to get somebody in to figure out what was broken. Were their links broken? Did this ad copy not work? What's going on so that you can fix it? And same thing with your body. If something's not working out, if you're feeling drained, even though you're sleeping 8 to 10 hours, you need to look under the hood and see what's going on inside of there.
Definitely. Most entrepreneurs, if they are sleeping 8 to 10 hours, they've probably already made it. They're not in the startup stage. That's for sure. I feel like there have been times where I just don't even sleep at all. So when you're working with entrepreneurs, like you start off with all this, but do you look at, kind of their mental health as well? Like what's going on in their life? Because I always see that a lot of times people, let the stress of life or the busyness or the fires that they have to put out, it can be such an emotional drain, which becomes a literal physical stress on your body. And that causes a lot of pain. So how do you mold it so that, you create this environment that you can be successful in?
Yeah. So we actually take kind of like a business analysis on what's going on in your business as an entrepreneur, what you're trying to build, how many hours you're working, what's going on there, what your routines are like. And we set up a better routine that, yes, you can knock it out. You can get everything you want to get done, but also still maintain your health. Because you can, believe it or not, have a thriving startup business without pulling all-nighters every night. Just like you can, get an A on that final without pulling an all-nighter all night. You just have to be more efficient with your time and really block in and prioritize during certain time blocks, and then prioritize your health when you are not working. So we really make sure that the daily schedule from the moment they wake up till when they go to bed is conducive to health and wellness, because if the health is not on point, if the energy is drained, the business will be too.
So what do you say, like what's one of the things that you always recommend people do first thing in the morning when they wake up?
Hit up outside. So right when you wake up, ideally, you should be walking outside and letting your skin, we have these little clock genes on our skin and in our eyes. We should be letting that see the sun. And the sun actually gives our body information, just like food gives our body information and tells it, okay, let's wake up. Let's, boost our mitochondrial health. Let's start to regenerate. Let's boost this ATP energy. And so it helps to really set the tone for the entire day. When you get outside in that morning sunlight, it actually even helps your sleep that next night. So it just helps set what's called your circadian rhythm, which is the biological clock of your body. And that's one of the first things that you should do in the morning.
Perfect. Do you recommend people, do a workout regimen? Do they eat breakfast right before they start going outside or exercise? Like what do you see as the best way to get energy? Because the reason I'm saying this is because I'm thinking about like a lot of different, I've tried a bunch of different kind of, I wouldn't say diets, but just different routines in the morning. Mm-hmm. I've tried the bulletproof coffee in the morning and not eat until lunchtime. Sometimes I always work out in the morning. Sometimes I do it on an empty stomach. Sometimes I do it with a protein shake. And so there are different things that I found that a lot of them actually work. And weirdly, it kind of depends on what I ate the night before that really affects me in the morning as well. So I'm just wondering, what do you see is the most efficient way to have a lot of energy in the morning?
Yeah, it depends on the person. So each person is so unique. They have things going on in their body. Their biochemistry is different than the other. So for somebody who thrives on bulletproof coffee every morning and they do really well with that, that may be the very thing that tears the other person down and that really hurts their body and their energy levels. So it really depends. So we're getting this testing done so we know black and white. Oh, yep, you should be having breakfast. Nope, not you. You should be, extending your window and not eating until later on in the afternoon. Even assessing things like thyroid health and adrenal health, hormones as well, can help us to know if a morning workout fasted versus not fasted will be most beneficial for your body and energy levels.
So interesting. So it's just so highly specific to each individual then.
Yeah, it's very high level health and wellness. So if you really want to know the best thing for you, you have to get the testing done to know what's going on inside your body so that you can properly support your organ systems so that it can function more fully.
So, I'm interested in this, and I've had blood work done in the past, but it's been a while actually. So say I go get my blood work tomorrow done, and, I do a full scope workup. What specifically would I be looking at for energy? A lot of people talk about vitamin Bs for energy or something like that. Like, what key markers should I look at when I'm deciding, like, how should I change my lifestyle?
I think the top two things are to do a food intolerance test. So if you've never done that, certain foods can be causing you to be weak. It can tear the energy out of your body, literally just suck it, drain it. It can cause inflammation, bloating, headaches, migraines, irritability, not able to focus. So getting those food intolerances out, and it can be healthy things. Maybe you are intolerant to celery or lemons or avocados or lettuce, things that you're eating thinking that you're doing your body, help, but you're not. So once we get those out, the energy reserves can boost because instead of your body focusing on breaking down all of this stuff and focusing on the inflammation and these cascades going on from these foods, instead of focusing on that, it can focus on boosting your energy levels, getting your mind clear, helping to regulate your neurotransmitters. So, your happiness hormones, your hunger hormones, helping to balance your actual sex hormones. So that's the number one thing. And the other second thing that I would recommend is to do nutrient levels, not just vitamin B. Vitamin B is very known, as you said, for energy production. But if you are depleted in magnesium or vitamin C or manganese or all these different nutrients, you may also feel energy depleted as well because your cells, your body cannot function to its max capacity. It's trying to compensate for all these deficiencies and it's malnourished. Even if you're eating really healthy, it inside is malnourished. And so boosting these levels specific to what you need is going to help to boost those energy levels every day.
Absolutely. I always I've talked to a lot of people just about sleep. And this is more of a selfish question just because I've been struggling to sleep lately. I do feel there's a little bit of stress. And so I've been working on that, just mentally, just, doing different things. But what are some, you talk a little bit about biohacking your body. What are some things that you can do to improve your sleep?
So improving sleep is an all-day agenda. Just like I said, getting outside in the morning with that sun, that improves sleep. So same thing throughout the day. If you get outside in the evening sun, so within 2 hours of sunset, those sun rays actually help to increase melatonin, which probably is the sleep hormone to help you get to rest. But then the trick thereafter is once you come in from that sunset sun to increase melatonin is not to flip on all your bright lights, but to keep the lights in the home more of an amber reddish tint. And you can do that even on your phone screen. You can red tint your computer screen. They have light bulbs now where our light bulbs just turn to the red amber tint in the evening, and then in the daytime it's normal light. So there's all these different strategies from a light perspective that you can change to make your body realize, oh, okay, it's nighttime. Because as you know, our minds, especially as business owners, entrepreneurs, you have to intentionally turn it off, okay? It's a practice. I mean, if we get in the zone, we could be up all night long just whipping out all this stuff. So we have to train our body to know, okay, it's evening time. This is when Maggie winds down. This is when we relax and we digest and we get our healing on. And So that's one thing that you can do, is just to make sure that the light is right in your home, and that you're not thinking, like from a mental perspective for you, I would recommend a big brain dump before. So like sometimes with my entrepreneurs, I'll have them get a notebook or a journal, and we hear a lot about morning journaling and morning affirmations, but not so much in the evening. And a lot of my clients, I will have them actually brain dump everything on their mind that they need to get done or that they're thinking about or whatever. And then once they dump it, they put it aside and they're done, and they shift into, this is me time, this is wind down time, family time, whatever it is. And then that brain dump list is there in the morning, and then they can revisit it when they're journaling in the morning after their after their journal session, if they have a session like that, or mindset, meditation, workout, whatever. And then they can start to get the things done rather than accomplishing them late at night.
I really like that. A lot of times people kind of skip over those evening routines, and actually I'll try the brain dump. And that's something that I used to do, and I actually haven't done in a while. So maybe that'll definitely help just put my mind to ease. And with the lights, I love that. On my phone, I put it on nighttime mode automatically, so that I think it actually does it when the sun sets and when the sun rises almost, it's like, and it dims to this really, orange light. And people always look at like, why does your phone look so funny at night? And I'm like, honestly, if I put on the bright blue light of my phone, and this is just an iPhone setting, it hurts my eyes now. And it's like, I can't even look at it. But obviously you need that bright light in the day to be able to see the phone. And I even have it on my computer. It's a program called F.Lux, free program, so that way when I'm working late at night, it doesn't strain my eyes. And definitely, because that can affect your energy levels so much. So very, very cool little tips there. And I'm definitely going to try the brain dump. What do you see as obviously everybody's different, but is there a range of how many hours people should be sleeping, or is there a goal?
Honestly, 8 hours is a really good baseline. So people who have severe autoimmune disease going on could use a little more. Their body needs that rest. And if you are so fatigued, then listen to your body, rest more, take a nap in the middle of the day if you need to, prioritize that first. I think the biggest challenge for entrepreneurs and for business owners is that you push through. And I know I'm guilty. I did that for years. That's why I ended up having this crash. You push through, even though you're tired, even though you're dragging, you up the caffeine intake so that you can stay up more. But the fact is, if you were just given and take a even 30-minute nap, or even just lay down on a couch for 30 minutes and just rest your mind and body, you'll end up being more productive and efficient during the time that you do have. So in order to really prevent the crash, to maintain the long-term successes, health has to be on point. And like you said, sleep is one of the very first things that you need to focus on, because if sleep is off, you're hungrier the next day, you're irritable, you're tired, you're foggy, your workout's not as good. It affects everything.
Yeah, it really does. So, we've talked about just the health of your body, the sleep. When you wake up with like that brain fog, where sometimes you're just like, oh man, I just can't seem to think straight. What do you recommend people do? I'm looking for if you have a strategy or a routine to help people get out of that.
Yeah.
And so they can be more productive throughout the day.
Yeah. So most people, when they feel that way, your body, it craves energy, and our bodies chemically get energy from food. Mostly the highest energy capacity comes from things like carbs. So that's kind of where we turn to. That's why you crave things that are carby and sugary when you're super tired and groggy, and you turn to that comfort food. But if you can instead just be very mindful and instead think, oh man, yep, I'm so tired. This day is going to be a tough one. First of all, switch that off. Just mentally think, we got this, right? We got this. And then fuel your body with as much nutrients as possible. So if you're waking up especially groggy, think, okay, what can I add to make my cells function more fully? Okay, some chlorophyll water, or a really great green smoothie, or I'll have this green juice, or something like that, where you're boosting your nutrient levels automatically to help give your body that natural energy and support it needs. No, it's not going to zing you up probably like a big cup of coffee, but internally it's going to boost your cell function so that it can start to make the energy that you need to start thinking sharper and get out of that groggy state.
I'm interested. Do you drink coffee?
So it's funny. I just started drinking coffee this year for the first time ever in my life. Not because it's good or bad or anything like that, but because I like it. It makes my body feel really good. I know that my metabolism rate is one that does really well with caffeine. Whereas I know that a lot of people with a different type of metabolism rate than me, the caffeine may make them more anxious, jittery, or have a crash. So I actually just started drinking a cup every morning. I have a cup of black coffee with a little bit of almond milk and a little bit of stevia, and I love it. It makes me feel really sharp.
Oh, that's great. That's really interesting. But you just started doing that this year. So before you were waking up with a high energy. So I was just wondering if because a lot of people depend on caffeine.
Yeah.
It's like they need their cup of coffee, or it's like, don't even talk to me this morning. And at that point, it's just like, where do we draw the line between productivity and health?
Yeah. So I am in my late 20s right now. And before this year, I had maybe a handful of cups of coffee in my entire life. And I am like an energy bunny. So you don't have to have it, but it's because I boost my levels so much. Like I prioritize my health so much that it is naturally fueled, naturally energetic. So yeah, you don't necessarily need it. And if you feel dependent on something like, oh my gosh, I can't function without this thing, that's a sign that something's not quite right. So you shouldn't, as humans, we don't have, caffeine deficiency that we have to supply our body with every day. That's not a thing. So if you are dependent on it every single day to function, then I say, let's look elsewhere. Let's boost your levels. Probably you have some severe adrenal deficiency or inflammation going on in your body, or your nutrients are depleted. Thyroid may be off. Boost those levels. You may still need the caffeine as you bridge that gap, but you'd be surprised once you get stuff, figured out within your body, you won't need so much caffeine.
Well, it's so interesting too, is that, I studied science as well. And so when people go and eat a really big carb full meal for lunch, and then they come back to the office and all of a sudden they're just crashing, it's because of the insulin spike. Mm-hmm. It's like, all right, and now I need to go get my cup of coffee to reverse that, as opposed to understanding what you're putting in your body is actually what's making you tired. If you didn't eat all of that food and maybe switched it to a different type of food that was better suited for your body, you would actually have more energy as opposed to wanting to take a nap.
Yeah, absolutely. So in essence, it's a pill. It's just like, taking that pharmaceutical to cover up that back pain instead of figuring out why is the back pain happening. So why am I waking up so tired? I slept last night, why am I tired at 3:00 in the afternoon? So asking yourself those questions instead. It's not that coffee is bad, but if you're covering up symptoms, then it becomes, a medication that you're using.
Absolutely. It's funny. I think that food can be used as a drug in a lot of ways. I mean, people talk all the time about comfort food, right? Mm-hmm. Where you're like, I just need this to make me feel better. Well, it's like, okay. And unfortunately, if you need a bowl of ice cream every night for the next 5 years, you're going to suffer the negative health benefits of that as well. And it's a
loop, right? So when we give in, and it's not, again, I don't like terming things as bad and good. If you have that bowl of ice cream, it doesn't make you a bad person or anything like that. But think about it. You're eating that because you are tired or stressed or upset, or something is happening externally, usually when you're, excessively eating that comfort food. And so you're covering it up. And then that comfort food causes inflammation in your body. It causes insulin levels to spike and drop. It causes hormones to dysregulate. And so you feel more sick and worse, and anxiety goes up because we know that neurotransmitters are activated by that. So all of this cascade happens, and it's like, a dog chasing its tail. It's an endless loop that just keeps you stuck until you finally hit rock bottom, and then maybe, flip it around. But it's this endless cycle that instead, if you need that comfort food, like I said earlier, just try. At least first, before the comfort food, have a green juice, or, they have, a superfood powder or a smoothie or some kind of nutrients to help get over that, to help end that cycle.
Absolutely. I was wondering, working with a lot of different entrepreneurs and people who are in a peak performance, what do you see is kind of the most common mistake that they make when it comes to being productive and having a lot of energy?
Well, the most common mistake I see is planning their meals the same every meal. So in order to be more productive, and this is true, sometimes it's easier just to have the same breakfast, lunch, and dinner every time, right? And it's a big mistake because what that does is it causes nutrient deficiencies. It causes food intolerance. It doesn't populate your gut with a lot of varied and diverse bacteria that you need for immune system boosting and for energy boosting, for sleep quality and hormone regulation. So that's something a lot of people get in the rut of is their routine, right? We kind of thrive on routine. And so they're waking up, they're having their same pre-workout they have every day, their same post-workout, their same breakfast, lunch, dinner, drink, whatever it is. And they get stuck in that routine because it's done them well up to this point. But in the long term, it really is not conducive to health. And eventually, it's definitely going to cause some problems in your business, your life, and really how you feel.
Yeah, that's super interesting. Do you recommend people take probiotics?
Again, it depends on the person. So I recommend probiotics to people who we find that they need probiotics. Sometimes, here's an example. Sometimes we test their stools. So we do like a poop test and we see what all their different bacteria levels are and if they have parasites and what kind of enzymes they have and what their fatty acids are like. Sometimes they have actually bacterial overgrowth, and actually probiotics would not be helpful at that time. We actually need to kind of do like an antibiotic regimen. So like a natural herbal type of antibiotic stuff that's going to knock down the bacterial levels before we build it back up. So it really just depends on the person.
So, I mean, you guys do, we were talking about blood work and allergy tests, and now we're talking about poop. So it's
yeah,
a very intensive experience. What does something like this cost to be able to analyze and do all these tests and diagnose and figure out what we need?
Yeah, it is an investment. So I'm not going to say this is something that's affordable to every average person on the street. But what I will say is that it's something that you need to put into your business plan, into your life plan, just like you would budget out a car payment or anything, investing in yourself, especially if you are the, business owner, you are the number one asset in your business. You have to be healthy and feeling amazing in all areas. So this is an investment. It costs a couple $1,000s to get testing done. And then I recommend people to do it every single year. So just like you would do a CBC at your traditional doctor to check, your liver enzyme levels or your white blood cell count, I recommend you to check your nutrient levels every year, your food intolerance, if you picked up a parasite, on that vacation or when you were out to eat or whatever, so that we can make sure we're maintaining health long term. But yeah, it's definitely, I would say, put in at least $5,000 a year to budget, prioritizing your health, testing, getting consultations done, supplements that are targeted to your body, things like that.
That's crazy. People probably hear 5,000 and they're like, oh my God, you're out of your mind. That's so much money. And it's like, but if you want to be the optimum you really need to invest in health. And actually, that's not crazy. I've seen things where $5,000 to even $25,000 for full body workups where they do complete, even genetic DNA sequencing just to find everything and anything. And it's something that I have not personally done, but I've always thought about is that I do want to put aside more money to be able to invest into that. And, I'm 33 now. And so it's like I definitely should start already. Also, I've had some family health issues over the last, not personally, but my parents have had some health issues over the past couple of years that, it's kind of scary. It's like, was there something they could have done to manage it? Was there something that could have been prevented? And, we don't know, but we're taking the steps for them. I just want to make sure I take the proper steps for me. And I actually was reminded of your story where, Damon John, I was watching him at a conference and he was talking about this like CEO type of full body workup. And, this was like years into his career. He never even heard about it, spent like $10,000 on a workup and found out he had something wrong with his thyroid. And it was this big realization for him. So it's something that not everybody focuses on when you're really trying to build a business, make money, but is so important as well. And
yeah, I mean, this stuff is scary. I've had we've had cancer clients, autoimmune clients, people who we found out that their pancreas was failing. I mean, you can look healthy, feel okay, and you can take pride on grinding and hustling, but inside your body may be crashing without you knowing it, and you're going to look back and be like, dang it, I should have prioritized that, because like, okay, now I have this business, but I am severely tired. I can't play with my kids. I feel like really bloated and not energetic, and I want to be a speaker on stage and, travel around the world, but it makes me sick every time I do it. You're going to look back and regret it, but it is an investment. So you do have to budget it in. It's just something that needs to be in the budget.
Absolutely. So one of the things here we talk about at Unleash Success is just the 80-20 rule. And the way I use that for this is, 20% of our actions can create 80% of our results. The key is knowing which actions to take. And we talked about quite a few. I'm just wondering, what is the one action you think people should take in order to increase their energy and productivity?
I would say those two tests that we talked about earlier, the food intolerance and the nutrient levels, is like the easiest, fastest way to know what to do for your body to boost energy levels. I think that to spend the thousands of dollars on that is going to save thousands of dollars on supplements, diet plans, trainers, whatever else you're trying to do to boost the energy, like light therapy and infrared, which I support all of. But this is the first step. And so I'd say that that's the best thing that you should do to impact all those other areas.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't manage what you don't measure, right? So I really, really appreciate you coming on and sharing just your thoughts on focus, energy, and really how detailed you need to be. It is eye-opening even for me, and I actually spend quite a bit on my health and fitness and focus and everything. So where can everybody find you online if they want to connect with you?
Yeah, well, my website is maggiebergoff.com. So you can just check me out there. And I'm also over on Instagram, Maggie_Bergoff. So those are some places I hang out most.
Very, very, very cool. So the last question is always this. You've achieved a good amount of success in your health and in your business. But for you, what is your next level of success?
Ooh, next level of success. Well, we have a growing family right now, and we're considering a move. And I'd say, like, from a personal standpoint, that's kind of our biggest thing that we have going on right now is really taking the business, which has really taken off. My husband and I both work from home in the business, and then incorporating that with our family life and seeing really like what is most aligned with us. Where do we want to go, right? Like the opportunities are endless. And that's kind of one of the things that we've been talking about lately. And one of the biggest next steps adventures that we are excited about.
Do you guys have a place in mind that you're thinking about?
So I'm biased. I used to live in Nashville, Tennessee. That's where I went to undergrad and grad school, to Vanderbilt University. So I'm really leaning towards that. And I have friends there and I love the community, but we're open to kind of anything.
Cool. Well, life is definitely an adventure.
Yeah, it sure is. And, that's kind of how I view life. You literally have this one life to live. You might as well do whatever the heck you want, right? Like whatever's going to make you happy and fulfilled and bright and live this really energetic and solid life.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. So Maggie, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me. It was awesome.
If you enjoyed the show and learned something of value, the one ask that I have is please go subscribe, whether you're on iTunes, Spotify, or YouTube. And if you leave us a 5-star rating or review, that absolutely helps us get our message out there. Each week, I'm going to continue to interview amazing people, and we're going to break down their tools and strategies to help get you real results. Feel free to visit the website, unleashsuccess.com, and subscribe to our newsletter so you get updates each week. And remember, knowing is not enough. Knowledge alone is not power. Action is. Because action is the only way you're going to get the results you want in life and truly live the life of your dreams. So take some action, subscribe to the podcast today, and get ready to unleash success in you.